Dear learners, welcome you all to e-learning platform. This is week 11. In this week you are going to learn the major themes in critical appreciation, the reason behind the tragedy of Tess, the protagonist of the Tess of the D'Urbervilles, written by Thomas Hardy. Me, Faisal Ahmed, with you throughout this lecture as usual. Let's begin. First of all, we're going to discuss about the major themes in Tess of the D'Urbervilles. The first theme is fate and free will. The cruel hand of fate hangs over all the characters and actions of the novel, as Tess D'Urberville's story is basically defined by the bad things that happen to her. Hardy presents a world in which circumstances beyond the control of Tess determine her destiny. Luck, chance, coincidence, and environmental forces continually work against Tess to entangle her in one casualty after another. Her social status, her accident with the horse, her row with Cardarch, the forest encounter with Alec, and the resulting pregnancy, the death of her father, the eviction of her family, and so on, all wave her into a web from which there is no escape. The narrator calls attention to this theme in chapter 11 after Alec rapes or seduces Tess. Second theme, male predominance and sexual harassment. In the 19th century Victorian era, males dominated society and expected females to do their order. Tess's resistance to the advances of Alec succeed for a time, but he eventually entraps her after continually harassing her. Although Angel loves Tess and marries her, he abandons her shortly after their wedding when he discovers what happened between her and Alec. It does not matter to him that he himself had an affair before he was married. Man may stray with impunity, he believes. Women may not. So there is a discrimination of gender in the Victorian era. After Tess's father, John D'Urberville, dies, his wife and children are evicted. It was he who was privileged to hold the lease to their property, not his wife. Third theme, modernism. In Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Shortly after Tess becomes a mother, she leaves her home to labor in the fields as part of the villager community that must bring in the communal grain for the winter. In the middle of this golden bucolic scene, Hardy places a bright red reaping machine. These mechanic intruders enable the field workers to get much more work done in a shorter period of time. The work is done quickly. The workers must travel about from farm to farm, trying to eke out a living, and onward then in time to cities like London and Manchester to work in factories as cogs in the machines of the Industrial Revolution. So the machine took the place of human. That's why human were suffering from unemployment during the Victorian era, while the industrialization started to take place. Hardy called this the ache of modernism. Hardy calls this the ache of modernism, which separated man from nature. Fourth theme, knowledge versus ignorance. Tess and Angel struggle with their parents' unwillingness to accept change and progress, and therefore this causes a lot of friction between them. Tess, who has had formal schooling, is not only in profession is not only in possession of a greater intellect than her mother, but also has a much better sense of right and wrong. Angel is different because, with the exception of himself, he is in a family of scholars. Angel has common sense and is able to see that for all his family's real education, they are not always wise in their choices. Both Angel and Tess see their parents as choosing to be ignorant, or at the very least unwilling to move with the times, and the relationship suffer for it. Fifth theme, prejudice. This theme manifests itself in chapter 2 when Angel Clare asks his brothers to attend the country May dance with him. Felix replies, dancing in public with a troupe of country hoydens. Suppose we should be seen. In chapter 40, Marcy Chant exhibits an anti-Catholic bias after she hears that Angel is going abroad. That's all about the major themes. Now we are going to discuss about the critical appreciation of the novel, the reason behind Tess's tragedy. Deep stratification. Besides characters of main figures, there are other reasons that resulted in Tess's tragedy. In Hardy's work, it reflected the great changes about social economy, politics, morality, and customs when capitalism flew into British rural town. Under this circumstance, hypocrisy of bourgeois morality, laws, and religion was revealed. This part will involve Tess's family background and the society she lived. Family background of Tess. Tess was born in a poor peasant family or farmer family. The decline of a noble family. The family's economic situation, irresponsible parents are destined to her tragic fate. Vanity of the parents of Tess. Her parents were full of vanity and loved money. Her mother could not consider Tess's feelings. From the beginning to end, Tess's mother only thought herself. She hoped Tess would marry a rich man and brought her comfortable life. In fact, it is her mother's vanity that led Tess into an abyss and opened the door to Tess's tragedy. Wrathless capitalist society, which is also a major reason behind the tragedy of Tess. After the Industrial Revolution, the business pattern of capitalism also slowly immersed into rural areas or village areas. The widespread usage of new agricultural put individual farmer into bankrupt or unemployed. Tess and her workmates were the representatives of hired workers. They worked every hard to make a living. They didn't go until the fall came. They suffered torment and did the same work like men. Tess, one of the victims of this real cruel portrayal of social unfair, deprived her life. Hypocritical moral. Tess of the D'Urbervilles was published. This novel was regarded as disloyalty, uncharitable, of sin. In Victorian era, put an end. In Victorian era, the rights between women and men are not equal. Even divorce was regarded as immoral behavior. Tess was just right, the victim of this ethics. Her whole life lived in the violence and forces. The society and laws both thought it was valid that insulted Tess, so Tess couldn't find a way to protect herself from physical pain. or psychological pain. At the same time, Tess thought that she was guilty. She hided her head. She hid her head into arms. What's more, those people who once said that they loved Tess escaped at the critical moment. Because of hypocritical moral, male didn't think it was illegal when they bullied women, but women would suffer more than physical pain. In Victorian era, male regarded female as their personal belongings, especially females' purity. In this society, it's impurity that women lost virginity. If she lost her virginity, she should be condemned. In this novel, Claire was the typical representative. He had done excessive action and he wanted to get Tess's forgiveness. But he could not forgive innocent Tess. Though he was an open-minded man, he was constrained by traditional morality. And that's the end of week 11. Thank you very much for being with me. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. So talk to you in the next week with new lesson. Thank you very much and bye bye.